Discussion on verses 1 to 29 of 29. This chapter opens by portraying some of the overwhelming and unimaginable events that will unfold on the Day of Judgment, shaking the very foundations of the universe. Its purpose is to awaken people from heedlessness by reminding them that if the strongest and most stable elements of creation are brought to collapse, then what hope does the weak human being have of escape? Chapter 81 at Takwir, verses 1 to 4.
When the sun is wrapped up, and when the stars fall dispersing, and when the mountains are removed, and when full-term she-camels are neglected.
These verses illustrate a complete breakdown of the natural order. The sun, a source of life and stability, will lose its light. The stars, which appear fixed and reliable, will scatter. The mountains, symbols of strength and permanence, will be removed. Everything that people rely upon as constant and secure will cease to function. This powerful imagery is meant to humble the human being and remind them of their fragility and dependence on Allah, the Exalted. In particular, the mention of full-term she-camels, among the most valuable possessions to people at the time, being abandoned, carries a profound lesson. It signifies that even the most prized worldly assets, which people dedicate their time, effort, and emotions to, will lose all value on that day. In contrast, the very things people often neglect in this life, such as sincere obedience, remembrance of Allah, the Exalted, and righteous deeds, will become the most valuable and sought after. This verse is therefore a direct call for individuals to reassess their priorities, while they still have the opportunity to do so. It urges people to reflect on how they are using their time, energy, and resources. Are they investing in what will benefit them eternally, or are they consumed by temporary gains that will ultimately be abandoned? The one who understands this reality in this world will begin to redirect their efforts. They will use the blessings they have been granted in ways that please Allah, the Exalted, ensuring that their life is structured with purpose and clarity. This leads to a balanced mental and physical state, where everything and everyone is placed in their proper position. As a result, such a person not only prepares effectively for the hereafter, but also attains peace of mind in this world. On the other hand, the one who ignores this warning will continue to overvalue what is temporary and undervalue what is eternal. This misplacement of priorities leads to regret, first subtly in this world through stress and dissatisfaction, and ultimately in the hereafter in a far more severe and lasting form. Thus, these opening verses are not merely descriptions of future events, they are a powerful reminder to act now. They call on a person to realign their life before the moment arrives when realization comes too late and no opportunity for change remains. The description of some of the events that will unfold on the Day of Judgment continues. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verses 5 to 7.
And when the wild beasts are gathered, and when the seas are filled with flame, and when the souls are paired.
The pairing of souls on the Day of Judgment signifies that individuals will be grouped with others who share similar qualities, beliefs, and actions, and they will be judged accordingly. This carries a powerful warning regarding the importance of companionship, as the relationships a person maintains in this world directly influence their conduct and ultimate outcome in both worlds. Human beings are inherently social, and their character, habits, and worldview are continuously shaped by those around them, whether in beneficial or harmful ways. This influence may be immediate or gradual, but it is always profound and far-reaching. Companionship is therefore never neutral. It is a decisive factor in shaping one's inner and outer state. The traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, emphasize this reality clearly, such as the hadith recorded in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4833, which illustrates how a person inevitably adopts the qualities of their companions. Just as one who spends time in a place of pleasant fragrance carries that scent with them, while one who remains in a place of smoke is affected by it, a person likewise absorbs the moral and spiritual condition of those they associate with. Those who surround themselves with righteous and sincere individuals will find their hearts inclined toward obedience to Allah, the Exalted. Their companions will serve as a constant reminder of accountability, encouraging them to use their blessings correctly and to prepare for the Day of Judgment. In such an environment, a person's intentions are purified, Their character is refined, and they develop balance across their mental, physical, and spiritual states. This leads to a life marked by clarity, purpose, and inner peace. In contrast, those who associate with the heedless and misguided gradually begin to reflect their behavior and attitudes. This transformation may occur subtly, but over time it weakens a person's awareness of Allah, the Exalted, and erodes their sense of purpose. They become increasingly inclined to follow their desires, misuse their blessings, and neglect their responsibilities. This inner corruption distorts their understanding, causing them to misjudge right and wrong, misplace priorities, and disrupt the balance within their lives. When obedience to Allah, the Exalted, is replaced with the pursuit of temporary pleasures, the heart becomes unsettled. Even if such a person appears outwardly content, inwardly they often experience anxiety, dissatisfaction, and instability. Their relationships suffer, their thoughts become unsettled, and their hearts carry the burden of regret. Thus, the harm of poor companionship extends beyond worldly difficulties, leading ultimately to loss in the hereafter. On the other hand, righteous companionship cultivates faith, strengthens resolve, and prepares a person for lasting success. It nurtures tranquility within the heart, and aligns a person's life with their true purpose. For this reason, a wise individual carefully chooses their companions, seeking those whose presence inspires remembrance of Allah, the Exalted, and whose character encourages adherence to truth, righteousness, and sincere devotion. Among the many matters for which people will be questioned on the Day of Judgment, this chapter draws attention to one specific crime that was widespread before Islam, in order to highlight the gravity of injustice and the corruption of misplaced values. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verses 8 to 9.
And when the girl who was buried alive is asked, for what sin she was killed.
This powerful image exposes the brutality of a practice that existed among some Arabs prior to Islam, where infant girls were buried alive. They were viewed as a burden rather than a blessing, and their existence was wrongly associated with shame upon their families. By bringing attention to this crime, Allah, the Exalted, not only condemns the act itself but also restores the dignity, honor, and value of every human life, especially girls. Islam decisively abolished this oppressive custom, and challenged the mindset that gave rise to it. Chapter 16 and Nahl, verses 58 to 59.
And when one of them is given the good news of the birth of a female, his face becomes dark and he suppresses grief. He hides himself from the people, because of the ill of which he has been given good news about. Should he keep it in humiliation, or bury it in the ground? Unquestionably, evil is what they decide.
In these verses, the birth of a daughter is explicitly described as good news, yet the negative reaction of those who reject this blessing is exposed in detail, their inner feelings, outward expressions, and shameful behavior. This comprehensive criticism demonstrates the severity of such an attitude. It is not merely a social flaw, but a deeply rooted moral failure that Islam seeks to eradicate. Despite this clear condemnation, traces of this mindset can still be found. Some people may not act in the same extreme manner, but they may still inwardly prefer sons over daughters, or feel disappointment at the birth of a girl. Such an attitude contradicts the teachings of Islam, and reflects a failure to appreciate the wisdom and mercy of Allah, the Exalted. The one who harbors such feelings should reflect, feel ashamed of this mindset, and strive to correct it sincerely. Islam goes further by highlighting the great reward associated with raising daughters with care, dignity, and proper guidance. The traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, repeatedly emphasize the virtue of nurturing daughters, promising immense reward for those who fulfill this responsibility correctly. This shifts the perspective entirely, from viewing daughters as a burden to recognizing them as a means of attaining immense blessings and success. While it is natural for parents to feel concern for their children, especially in a challenging world, this concern should not lead to dissatisfaction with what Allah, the Exalted, has decreed. A parent's duty is to raise their children according to Islamic teachings, instilling good character and faith, while trusting Allah, the Exalted, with what lies beyond their control. Ultimately, this passage serves as a reminder to reassess values. What people may consider a burden can, in reality, be a great blessing, and what they may pursue with pride can lead to regret. True success lies in accepting and appreciating what Allah, the Exalted, grants, using it correctly, and aligning one's mindset with divine guidance. In doing so, a person attains contentment in this world and success in the hereafter. After highlighting a particular evil deed, Allah, the Exalted, directs people towards sincere and practical preparation for their accountability by reminding them that nothing remains hidden from Him. Every intention harbored within the heart, every word uttered by the tongue, and every action carried out by the limbs will be brought to light and made fully manifest. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verse 10.
And when the pages are made public.
It is essential for a person to consistently evaluate their own actions, as no one, besides Allah the Exalted, has greater awareness of their true state than they do themselves. When a person sincerely reflects on their behavior, it awakens a sense of accountability within them. This honest self-assessment encourages genuine repentance from sins and motivates them to increase in righteous deeds, which means using the blessings they have been granted in ways that please Allah the Exalted. Through this process, a person gradually achieves balance in their mental and physical state, and learns to place everything and everyone in their proper position. This, in turn, leads to peace of mind in both this world and the hereafter. In contrast, the one who neglects to review their actions drifts into a state of heedlessness. Without reflection, they continue to misuse their time, energy, and other blessings, often without even realizing it. This results in inner imbalance, confusion in priorities, and the misplacement of relationships and responsibilities. Even if such a person enjoys material comforts, their life will be filled with stress, dissatisfaction, and difficulty. More importantly, their neglect prevents them from preparing for their accountability on the Day of Judgment, making the consequences in the hereafter far more severe. When their deeds are finally weighed, they may find themselves in a position of extreme loss, potentially leading to punishment. The example of a business owner helps clarify this reality. A wise and successful owner regularly reviews their accounts, ensuring that their business remains on the right path and that all obligations are properly fulfilled. This careful monitoring protects them from loss and prepares them for any formal assessments. In contrast, a careless owner who ignores their accounts risks financial failure and penalties. Yet even these worldly penalties are minor when compared to the consequences of failing to assess one's deeds for the final reckoning. The accountability of the hereafter is far more precise and far more serious. Chapter 99 Az-Zalala, verses 7-8.
So whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it. And whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it.
Beyond avoiding clear sins, a person should also strive to minimize involvement in vain or pointless activities. While such actions may not always be sinful, they do not contribute to one's success in the hereafter. Time and effort spent on what brings no benefit will become a source of regret when a person realizes that those same moments could have been transformed into lasting rewards. On the Day of Judgment, even a small difference in deeds may carry immense consequences, potentially determining one's ultimate fate. Therefore, regular self-assessment is not merely a recommended habit, it is a necessary discipline. It allows a person to correct their course while there is still time, to replace heedlessness with awareness, and to ensure that their life is aligned with the purpose for which they were created. The description of the events of the Day of Judgment continues with powerful imagery, concluding with a clear and practical reminder regarding preparation. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verses 11-14.
And when the sky is stripped away, and when hellfire is set ablaze, and when paradise is brought near, a soul will then know what it has brought forward.
At this moment, every soul will be fully aware of what it has prepared through its actions. There will be no uncertainty, denial, or confusion, only a clear recognition of one's deeds and their consequences. The final verse serves as a direct invitation for a person to engage in sincere self-reflection. It encourages individuals to examine their actions, intentions, and priorities in order to distinguish between what they are sending forward for the hereafter and what they will leave behind in this world. Every effort made in life will either perish with the world or accompany a person into their final reckoning. Most people tend to focus their efforts on what they will leave behind, such as wealth, property, and status. These are things that may benefit others after their death, but will not benefit them on the Day of Judgment. Excessive attachment to such matters often leads to neglect of what truly holds lasting value, resulting in regret when reality becomes clear. In contrast, the one who reflects sincerely on this truth will begin to prioritize what endures. They will dedicate their efforts towards righteous deeds, sincere intentions, and obedience to Allah, the Exalted. These are the actions that will accompany a person beyond death, becoming a source of comfort in the grave and support on the Day of Judgment. Such deeds will testify in their favor when they are in the greatest need. This understanding leads to a transformation in how a person lives. Their time, energy, and resources are used more carefully, ensuring that their efforts are not limited to temporary gains. Instead, they strive to invest in what will bring lasting benefit, thereby achieving peace of mind in this world and security in the next. Thus, these verses are not simply descriptions of future events, but a practical guide for the present. They remind every person that the reality of the hereafter is certain and approaching, and that preparation must be undertaken now. The successful individual is the one who recognizes this truth and acts upon it, ensuring that when the moment of accountability arrives, they are met with success rather than regret. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verse 14.
A soul will then know what it has brought forward.
A person should recognize that regrets can be divided into two distinct categories, and understanding this distinction is essential for setting correct priorities in life. The first category consists of worldly regrets, such as not getting married, not having children, or missing out on certain opportunities. These regrets, regardless of their nature, are temporary. They either fade when a person fulfills their desire, changes their perspective, or ultimately passes away. Their duration is limited to one's lifetime, and although they may cause sadness or disappointment, they do not result in severe or lasting consequences. Furthermore, if a person is granted entry into paradise through the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, these regrets will completely disappear and hold no significance. The second category consists of the regrets of the hereafter. These are far more serious and long-lasting. The period of the grave and the Day of Judgment will far exceed the short span of worldly life, making these regrets far more enduring. They will only come to an end when a person enters paradise, which may not occur immediately, and could take an extremely long time. Chapter 22 Al-Hajj, verse 47.
And indeed, a day with your Lord is like 1,000 years of those which you count.
In addition to their duration, the severity of these regrets is also far greater. They are not limited to emotional discomfort, but may lead to punishment and immense hardship. A person may regret not using their time, wealth, and abilities correctly, realizing too late that these blessings could have been transformed into lasting reward. Such regret will be accompanied by consequences that cannot be undone. Therefore, a person should reflect deeply on this reality and act with wisdom and fairness towards themselves. True care for oneself lies in prioritizing the removal of the regrets of the hereafter, before attempting to resolve the temporary regrets of this world. This is achieved by using the blessings one has been granted in ways that please Allah, the Exalted, thereby preparing properly for the inevitable meeting with Him. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verses 23 to 24.
And brought within view that day is hell. That day man will remember, but how, i.e., what good to him will be the remembrance? He will say, "Oh, I wish I had sent ahead some good for my life."
After briefly mentioning some of the events of the Day of Judgment, Allah, the Exalted, directs attention back to the created world, inviting reflection on the clear signs of His oneness and authority. Through this reflection, a person is guided to recognize that he alone deserves to be obeyed in every situation, which ultimately leads to peace of mind in both worlds by establishing balance in one's mental and physical state, and by placing everything and everyone correctly within life. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verses 15 to 16.
So I swear by the retreating stars, those that run their courses and disappear.
These verses draw attention to the celestial bodies, which serve as yet another powerful sign of precise design and control. The stars that illuminate the night sky are not randomly scattered. Rather, they follow exact patterns and movements that reflect order and purpose. For thousands of years, long before the development of modern tools, people relied on these stars for guidance. Travelers used them to navigate vast deserts, sailors depended on them to cross oceans, and entire societies organize their lives around their predictable cycles. Chapter 6 Al-An'am, verse 97.
And it is He who placed for you the stars that you may be guided by them through the darknesses of the land and sea.
This demonstrates that the stars are not merely distant lights, but serve practical and essential functions. Their consistent positions and movements allowed earlier generations to determine direction, measure time, and identify the changing of seasons. Even in the present age, despite technological advancements, the reliability of these celestial patterns remains unchanged, continuing to serve as a foundation for scientific observation and understanding. The study of the stars reveals a system governed by precision. Their motions are regular, their appearances are timely, and their cycles repeat without fail. Specific stars rise and set at known intervals, signaling seasonal changes. Historically, travelers depended on fixed reference points in the sky to maintain direction over long journeys, and agricultural communities relied on these patterns to determine the correct times for planting and harvesting. This level of consistency and harmony cannot be attributed to chance. Rather, it reflects deliberate arrangement and control. The order observed in the heavens points to a creator, whose knowledge encompasses every detail, and whose power sustains every movement. The stars, therefore, are not only a source of beauty, but also a means of guidance and a sign for those who reflect. Through observing this balance and precision, a person is reminded that just as the universe operates under perfect order, their own life must also be aligned with the guidance of Allah, the Exalted. By doing so, they achieve true balance, clarity, and tranquility, both in this world and in the hereafter. The path of the sun ensures that the earth receives a perfectly balanced alternation of light and darkness. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verses 17 to 18.
And by the night as it closes in, and by the dawn when it breathes.
These verses draw attention to the smooth transition between night and day, a process that occurs with remarkable precision and consistency. The gradual arrival of night brings rest and stillness, while the emergence of dawn signals renewal, activity, and life. This continuous cycle reflects careful design and purposeful arrangement. The timing and variation of days and nights throughout the year allow people to benefit from both periods in the most effective way. The length of daylight enables work, productivity, and engagement in essential tasks, while the night provides the necessary opportunity for rest and recovery. If the days were excessively long, people would experience exhaustion and strain due to prolonged activity. Conversely, if the nights were extended, there would be insufficient time for fulfilling responsibilities such as earning a livelihood, seeking knowledge, and maintaining daily affairs. Likewise, if the nights were too short, the human body would be deprived of adequate rest, leading to physical and mental imbalance. This balance is not limited to human life alone. The natural world is equally dependent on this precise system. Crops rely on the regulated pattern of sunlight and darkness for growth, and any disruption to this cycle would negatively affect agriculture, ultimately impacting both people and animals. The stability of ecosystems, weather patterns, and biological rhythms all depend on this carefully maintained order. The harmony observed in the alternation of day and night, along with the wider balance found throughout the universe, clearly points to the oneness of Allah, the Exalted. Such perfect coordination cannot arise from multiple independent powers, as differing wills would inevitably result in conflict and disorder. Instead, the unity, consistency, and precision of these systems indicate a single, all-powerful creator, who governs all things with complete knowledge and wisdom. Chapter 21 Al-Anbiya, verse 22.
Had there been within them, i.e., the heavens and earth gods besides Allah, they both would have been ruined.
The same creator and sustainer who established perfect balance throughout the creation is also the one who revealed a divinely balanced code of conduct to humanity. This guidance was conveyed through the Archangel Jibril, peace be upon him, to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verses 19 to 21.
That indeed the Quran is a word conveyed by a noble messenger, who is possessed of power and with the owner of the throne, secure in position, obeyed and trustworthy.
No matter how advanced a society may become, or how much knowledge humanity accumulates in fields ranging from science to medicine, It remains impossible for people to formulate a code of conduct that is perfectly aligned with human nature. Human understanding, while ever expanding, is inherently limited. Discoveries about the functions of the human brain, the subtleties of psychology, or the complexities of societal dynamics continue to emerge, highlighting the impossibility of independently creating a system that ensures justice, balance, and tranquility for both individuals and communities across all circumstances and eras. Only Allah, the Exalted, possesses the knowledge and wisdom necessary to create such a code. As the creator of all things, his understanding encompasses past, present, and future, as well as the infinite variations in human experience. Therefore, the divine code of conduct is uniquely equipped to distinguish good from evil, beneficial from harmful, and to provide guidance that enables individuals to live with balance, purpose, and peace of mind. Historical evidence further demonstrates the transformative impact of this guidance. Societies that have adhered to the divine code of conduct have experienced increased justice, harmony, and tranquility, while individuals who implemented it in their personal lives have achieved mental and physical equilibrium, ethical clarity, and meaningful purpose. People are therefore urged to embrace this guidance fully, even when aspects of it conflict with personal desires. The analogy of a patient following the advice of a skilled physician illustrates this point clearly. Just as the patient may initially resist unpleasant treatments or dietary restrictions, yet benefits from them in the long term, so too must individuals recognize that adherence to divine guidance, though it may challenge immediate inclinations, ultimately serves their well-being and leads to success in both worlds. The leaders of the non-Muslims of Mecca, much like previous peoples, employed various methods to discourage others from embracing Islam, motivated by the fear of losing their leadership and social influence. One such method was the slander of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, including claims that he was insane. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verse 22.
And your companion is not at all mad.
Allah, the Exalted, exposes the folly of these accusations by emphasizing that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was not a stranger whose honesty could be questioned. He was born among his people, raised in their midst, and lived under their constant observation for many years before his prophethood. His life was an open record of honesty, integrity, and sincerity. His people knew him as trustworthy and upright long before he received revelation. Chapter 10 Yunus, verse 16.
For I had remained among you a lifetime before it. Then will you not reason?
This lifelong testimony of character served as a divine proof. No one could reasonably accuse him of deceit when his existence had consistently demonstrated truthfulness. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is therefore described in the Holy Quran as the companion of his people, highlighting both his closeness to them and their familiarity with his character. This recognition should have been sufficient to compel his people to listen with fairness and an open mind. They had no grounds to doubt his sincerity, for he had never betrayed their trust in worldly matters. If he had never lied about everyday affairs, it was unreasonable to suspect deception regarding revelation from Allah, the Exalted. Yet many persisted in turning away, blinded by arrogance and attachment to worldly desires. The following verse is widely understood to refer to an aspect of the heavenly journey of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, which the leaders of the non-Muslims of Mecca attempted to use as evidence to label him insane. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verse 23.
And he has certainly seen him in the clear horizon.
The second pronoun in the verse may refer either to Allah, the Exalted, or to the Archangel Jibril, peace be upon him, and this matter has been a subject of scholarly debate for many generations. Scholars from both sides have presented evidences and rational arguments supporting their respective positions. This discussion is detailed in Imam Ibn Kathir's Life of the Prophet, Volume 2, pages 66 to 68, where he outlines the various perspectives and proofs that have been offered over time. However, the crucial point for Muslims is that they should never allow themselves to become entangled in arguments over this and similar matters, to the extent that such disputes generate enmity, hostility, or division among themselves. Believing one way or the other does not alter a person's faith or obedience to Allah, the Exalted. and it will not be questioned on the day of judgment, for if it were an essential point, the Muslim nation would have been explicitly informed. Therefore, spending excessive time in prolonged debates, written treatises, or scholarly disputes over this issue is not constructive. Instead, Muslims should focus on matters that, once clarified, directly enhance sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted. This includes fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and facing destiny with patience in accordance with the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Additionally, attention should be directed toward matters that will indeed be questioned on Judgment Day, such as fulfilling the rights of others, performing righteous deeds, and using the blessings granted by Allah the Exalted correctly. Unfortunately, persistent arguments and debates over matters of doubtful knowledge have diverted many Muslims from prioritizing these critical issues, and this diversion has been one contributing factor to the overall decline in the general strength, cohesion, and focus of the Muslim community over time. This guidance is directly linked to a hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, recorded in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 2518, which instructs that a Muslim should abandon matters that create doubt and act upon what is free from doubt. The overwhelming majority of Muslims are aware of their obligatory duties and the clear prohibitions, such as refraining from alcohol, which leave no room for doubt. Therefore, they should act decisively by fulfilling the obligatory duties and abstaining from clearly prohibited actions, ensuring their deeds align with what is certain and free of ambiguity. All other matters that are voluntary or create doubt within society should be approached with caution and, when in doubt, avoided. Allah, the Exalted, will not hold a person accountable on Judgment Day for refraining from a voluntary act. Rather, He will question those who performed it, inquiring regarding reward, punishment, or forgiveness. Leaving voluntary actions that may cause doubt carries no negative consequence in the hereafter, whereas performing them may result in accountability. It is essential for Muslims to adhere to this concise yet profoundly important hadith, as doing so resolves many disputes and prevents unnecessary conflicts. This principle is reinforced by another hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, recorded in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 1205, which clearly states that the lawful and unlawful matters in Islam have been fully clarified to humanity, and all voluntary actions that give rise to doubt should be set aside. Following this guidance safeguards one's religion, protects one's honor, and ensures focus remains on actions that truly benefit an individual in both this life and the hereafter. Allah, the Exalted, then reproves the leaders of the non-Muslims of Mecca by highlighting that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, had no worldly benefit to gain from advocating Islam. On the contrary, the more he promoted the message of Islam, the greater the opposition and hardship he faced. This reality demonstrates the sincerity of his intentions, as his advocacy was not motivated by personal gain, but by a genuine desire for people to follow the right guidance. His ultimate aim was for individuals to attain peace of mind in both worlds, achieved through cultivating a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly placing everything and everyone within their lives. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verse 24.
And he is not a withholder of knowledge of the unseen.
As previously discussed, the leaders of the non-Muslims of Mecca employed various methods to discourage others from accepting Islam, driven by fear of losing their leadership and social influence. One such method involved questioning the authenticity of the Holy Quran and claiming that its author was someone other than Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verse 25.
And the Quran is not the word of a devil expelled.
This claim was entirely baseless, as the non-Muslims of Mecca were well versed in the Arabic language and could recognize that the eloquence, structure, and depth of the Holy Quran could not have originated from a created being. Moreover, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, had no prior access to previous divine scriptures, a fact acknowledged even by the people of the book and the non-Muslims of Mecca. Consequently, he would not have been aware of the modifications or original teachings within those texts, further affirming the divine origin of the Holy Quran. Chapter 29 Al-Ankabut, verse 48.
And you did not recite before it any scripture, nor did you inscribe one with your right hand. then i.e. otherwise the falsifiers would have had cause for doubt.
In general, the expressions of the Holy Quran are unmatched, with meanings presented in a clear and straightforward manner. Its eloquence surpasses all other literature, and it is entirely free from contradictions, which are present in the scriptures and teachings of other religions. The Holy Quran narrates the history of previous nations in detail. Even though the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, had no formal historical education. It prescribes all that is good and forbids all that is evil, addressing the needs of both the individual and society to promote justice, security, and peace within every home and community. Unlike poetry, stories, or fables, the Holy Quran avoids exaggeration, falsehood, or boredom. Every verse provides practical guidance, and repeated study continues to reveal new insights and lessons. Its promises and warnings are accompanied by undeniable and clear proofs. Even when discussing abstract concepts, such as the virtue of patience, the Holy Quran offers practical instructions for applying them in daily life. It guides individuals to fulfill the purpose of their creation, sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted, by using their blessings in ways pleasing to Him. Following its guidance enables individuals to attain peace of mind and success in both worlds, maintain a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly place everything and everyone within their lives while preparing adequately for accountability on the Day of Judgment. The Holy Quran clarifies the straight path, making it appealing to those who desire true peace of mind and success in both worlds. Because it addresses the very nature of humans, its advice remains timeless, benefiting every person, place, and generation. When understood and applied correctly, it provides solutions for every emotional, economic, and physical challenge. Societies that have implemented the teachings of the Holy Quran correctly have historically reaped the benefits of its comprehensive and timeless guidance. Unlike any other text in history, the Holy Quran has been preserved without alteration, as promised by Allah the Exalted. Chapter 15 Al-Hijr, verse 9.
Indeed, it is we who sent down the message, i.e. the Quran, and indeed we will be its guardian.
Allah, the Exalted, addresses the root problems within a community and prescribes practical remedies, ensuring that the countless branch problems that stem from these roots are automatically corrected. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 89.
And we have sent down to you the book as clarification for all things.
This constitutes the greatest timeless miracle bestowed upon the final Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. However, only those who sincerely seek and act upon the truth will benefit from it, while those who pursue personal desires and selectively choose from its teachings will encounter loss in both worlds. Chapter 17 Al-Isra, verse 82.
And we send down of the Quran that which is healing and mercy for the believers, but it does not increase the wrongdoers except in loss.
And chapter 81 at Takwir, verse 26.
So where are you all going?
Ultimately, since all of creation belongs to Allah the Exalted and exists entirely under His authority and jurisdiction, a person has no true choice but to adhere to His rules. Just as an individual will face consequences if they fail to comply with the laws set by the governing authority of a country, they too will encounter repercussions in both worlds if they neglect the rules established by the owner of the universe. While a person may choose to leave a country in disagreement with its laws, there exists no refuge beyond the dominion of Allah the Exalted, where His commands do not apply. Similarly, although one may attempt to alter the rules within their society, they can never change the eternal and absolute decrees of Allah the Exalted. This principle can be likened to the authority a homeowner exercises over their household. Even if others within the house object to the rules, the owner alone determines how the house is governed. In the same way, the universe is under the exclusive control of Allah the Exalted, and He alone establishes its laws, whether people approve of them or not. Compliance, therefore, is not a matter of preference but of necessity, for the benefit and protection of the individual. The person who truly comprehends this reality will strive to obey Allah the Exalted by utilizing the blessings granted to them, such as time, wealth, knowledge, and abilities, in ways that are pleasing to Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. They may seek to understand the wisdom behind his commands and prohibitions, recognizing how they safeguard their well-being, promote the welfare of society, and cultivate peace of mind and body in both worlds. Conversely, one may choose to follow their own desires, rejecting the guidance of Islam, but such a choice carries inevitable consequences. Those who disobey the rules of Allah, the Exalted, must prepare to face the outcomes of their decisions in both worlds, for no objection, protest, or complaint can prevent the fulfillment of divine justice. Chapter 81 at Takwir, verses 26 to 29.
So where are you all going? It is not except a reminder to the worlds. For whoever wills among you to take a right course, and you do not will except that Allah wills, Lord of the worlds.
These verses emphasize divine revelation as a profound reminder. Islamic teachings serve this role for all people because they are perfectly aligned with human nature. Any system of guidance that conflicts with the innate disposition of humanity inevitably feels alien and creates mental and physical strain when individuals attempt to adhere to it. By contrast, the teachings of Islam, being divinely ordained, resonate naturally with the essence of human beings, fostering balance and harmony in both the mental and physical states. This intrinsic harmony is particularly evident among those who embrace Islam after following another religion or way of life. Many converts report an immediate sense of familiarity and inner alignment with Islamic principles, often without extensive study, as though they are reconnecting with truths already embedded within their hearts. Islam does not impose an artificial or forced framework. Instead, it restores human beings to their natural state as created by Allah, the Exalted. In contrast, other systems often demand adherence to codes that feel unnatural, giving rise to internal conflict, emotional unrest, and physical imbalance. However, this alignment may remain unperceived unless one approaches Islamic teachings with an open and sincere mindset. Prejudice, arrogance, or uncritical attachment to inherited traditions can obscure the recognition of the innate harmony between revelation and human nature. Yet, when studied and reflected upon with sincerity, divine guidance emerges not as a burden or restriction, but as a restorative force that cultivates equilibrium, nurtures tranquility, and directs humanity toward its true purpose. In this way, divine revelation functions both as a mirror and a compass, a mirror that reflects the intrinsic truth already residing within the human soul, and a compass that guides a person toward peace of mind in both worlds. By following this guidance, an individual attains a balanced mental and physical state, and is able to place all matters and relationships within their life in their proper and rightful order, fostering both worldly contentment and preparedness for the hereafter. A person must accept and act upon Islamic teachings for their own benefit, even when these teachings conflict with their personal desires. Their approach should resemble that of a wise patient who faithfully follows the advice of a doctor, knowing it is best for their health, even when prescribed bitter medicines or a strict diet. Just as this patient achieves physical and mental well-being by adhering to expert guidance, so too will a person attain balance in both mind and body by sincerely following Islamic teachings. This is because the only one with complete knowledge of what ensures a person's mental and physical equilibrium, and who knows how to correctly place everything and everyone within their life, is Allah, the Exalted. Human knowledge, no matter how advanced, cannot achieve this level of guidance. Despite all research and expertise, society cannot resolve every challenge a person may face, prevent all forms of mental and physical stress, or provide the insight necessary to properly organize one's life. Limitations of experience, foresight, and inherent biases prevent humans from accomplishing this. Allah, the Exalted, alone possesses this knowledge, and He has granted it to humanity through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The truth of this is evident when observing those who use the blessings granted to them, in accordance with Islamic teachings, compared to those who do not. Unlike a patient who may blindly follow their doctor without fully understanding the science behind the treatment, Allah, the Exalted, invites people to reflect on the teachings of Islam so that they may recognize their wisdom and positive impact. He does not demand blind adherence, rather, He encourages people to approach these teachings with insight, discernment, and an open, unbiased mind. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, this is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me.
Furthermore, as the sovereign controller of the spiritual hearts of people, the very seat of peace of mind. Allah, the Exalted, alone determines who attains inner tranquility. Chapter 53 and Najm, verse 43.
And that it is He who makes one laugh and weep.
Thus, it is clear that true peace of mind is granted only to those who use the blessings Allah, the Exalted, has bestowed upon them correctly, following the guidance outlined in Islamic teachings. By doing so, a person achieves mental and physical balance, aligns their life correctly, and prepares for their ultimate accountability, securing a life of contentment and purpose in both this world and the next. Chapter 16 and Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may peace and blessings be upon His final messenger, Muhammad, his noble family and companions.